Dust off your token makers, because my word, have I got a wild 2-card combo for you today. The possibilities for this deck are endless, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot of this combo over the next few months. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I want to showcase a truly amazing combo that's lighting up standard, made possible by an awesome new card from Murders at Karlov Manor. The best part, the possibilities are truly endless with the other cards in the deck, so feel free to go as wild or as janky as you want. So what's the combo, I hear you cry? Well, it's between Warleader's Call and Ojer Axonil. Warleader's Call is an amazing new enchantment for 3 mana that gives all your creatures +1/+1. More importantly though, it also does 1 damage to your opponent each time a creature ETBs on your side of the battlefield. Now pair that with Ojer, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but correct me in the comments below if I'm not, which is a beefy 4/4/4 in the battlefield, which becomes a 5/5 with your Warleader's effects, and suddenly every creature you drop is slamming your opponent for 5 damage. No attacks needed, just pure unadulterated pain for your opponent. That's because Ojer says if a red source would deal non-combat damage less than Ojer's power to your opponent, it does damage equal to its power instead. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. The rest of the deck is packed with 1/1 tokens popping in left, right and centre. We've got Resolute Reinforcements, that's a quick 10 damage right there. Rouse Reinforcements, another 10 damage, and I even managed to squeeze a copy of Mondrak in. It can help us get over the line by doubling our token creation, and who doesn't like Mondrak? I'm playing Skrelv's Hive, where each upkeep, boom, another 5 damage to our opponent, and we have Anim Pakal making gnomes quicker than I can count, ideally winning in just 1 swing. What better way to use these artifact tokens than with Gleeful Demolition? This makes 3 1/1 creatures, potentially 15 damage for just 1 mana. Again, no attacks needed in this deck. I've got straight up burn with Play with Fire and Lightning Helix to deal with threats, bats, mitigate your Hive's life loss and go straight to your opponent's face. And finally, Loran's Escape. I love this card. Today it protects Ojer for that 1 turn before you can create your creatures. It's vital and a must include. Today I have 24 lands and that's the deck. My word, have I had fun playing with Warleader's Call today. Like I mentioned, the alternatives to include here are endless. I'm looking at Adeline, Urabrask Forge, Wedding Announcement. A Piathopter version seems very viable, as does a Prowess version with Monastery Mentor. Throw in some blue for even more craziness. You can use whatever card you have lying around, and there are so many commons that suddenly become crazy good. But enough from me, I want to hear your thoughts, your ideas and your wildest combos inspired by Murders at Karlov Manor. Drop them in the comments below, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and give us a like. Your support means the world to this channel, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Alright, on the draw here, and yeah, Warleader's Call, Ojer, Skrelv's Hive. This is a pretty good opening hand for us. Have a nice 2-drop into a 3-drop into a 4-drop. Just want to find another land along the way. Opponent with a Deathcap Glade, a Golgari deck it seems, and Mishra's Foundry, okay. And we find another Skrelv's Hive. So we'll drop one of these. Haven't always been a massive fan of Skrelv's Hive. I have an issue with cards that, or creatures that don't block. I've never really got on with them too well, but Skrelv's Hive in this deck is absolutely perfect. As we find our 4th land, so let's drop Warleader's Call. This suddenly makes this 1/1 on the battlefield a 2/2. And each upkeep now, Skrelv's Hive is going to do 1 damage to our opponent. Obviously 1 damage to us too, but that's why Lightning Helix is so good in our deck, because we get to mitigate the life loss. So opponent with a Dread Knight here. And as long as we can get Ojer onto the battlefield and its stick, we should be okay. Just playing the creature alone is going to be 5 damage straight to our opponent, as it enters the battlefield as a 5/5. And Warleader's Call triggers here. Opponent with an Edict, and they're going to deal with our creature. So it's just the 1 damage to our opponent there. But hopefully they are out of removal. Probably not. There is removal in Virtue. Deals with our creature on the battlefield. And it's Sentinel for our opponent. So we just got to work our way through the opponent's cards, and then fingers crossed we're going to be okay. 2 Warleader's Call might seem quite excessive. Definitely want to get a beefy creature on the battlefield, and we finally managed to get our 5 damage to our opponent. So, like I mentioned, there are so many possibilities with this deck. I was playing a Prowess version earlier using Monstrous Rage and popping Monstrous Rage onto Ojer, which was fun, doing more than 5 damage each turn. Opponent with Nissa, and I'm surely they're going to blow up our Warleader's Call here. No, they make a 6/6, and I'm pretty sure we've got lethal here with our Rouse Reinforcement. We'll just drop the Warleader's Call anyway. And yeah, this is going to be 4 lots of 6 damage to our opponent, and they die. Alright, on the play. No enchantment here, but we have Anim Pakal, one of my favourite cards from the last set. I did like making gnomes, and now the gnomes paired with our Warleader's Call are just absolute craziness, to be honest. And there is Warleader's Call. Alright, so this is looking good if we can get some stuff onto the battlefield. We'll pass the turn. Hopefully we find our 4/4 along the way. Opponent with Picklock Prankster, so a graveyard deck, so a Tali in there, Phyrexian Obliterator. And one thing I do know about this deck is that it's not always got the most amount of removal. So let's drop Anim here. Means next turn we can attack with it, and then we can trigger the Warleader's Call. And that Cruel Somnophage, milling 4 cards. Okay, so we certainly look like we're racing them. Another land. We'll drop our Warleader's Call here, attack our opponent. And that's 1 damage to their face and 5 damage from our creatures. So Warleader's Call already getting in loads of extra damage with its Lord effect. See what the opponent's got. They've got Skrelv and Emergence into Phyrexian Obliterator. Okay. And Bushwhack. Well, we have a Loran's Escape, and I'm telling you, this card has saved me so many times over the last couple of days. When you're building a deck around certain creatures, you need some protection. There is so much removal going on at the moment. And I think we've got lethal here. We just animate our Restless Bivouac, attack with the team. Make sure to put the counter on Anim Pakal. So you can see if we had Ojer out in the battlefield there, that would have been 15 damage straight to our opponent, just with the 3/2/2s it created. But yeah, we can just play with fire their face, and I'm sure this has got enough. I haven't actually done the math here, so we'll see. Yeah, we did more than enough damage there, and that's how you win without Ojer. Alright, on the draw here. And yeah, I've been slightly lucky that I keep drawing this Warleader's Call, but that's why it's in the deck. Some really cool enchantments, I think, in the newest set. Our opponent looks like they're on mono red, maybe. We'll see how this one goes. As their Kumano here becomes the Etchin of Kumano. Oh no. Anim Pakal. Alright, maybe we're on a mirror match here. That is going to be fun. Luckily, we've got Lightning Helix. I'm going to deal with their Gnome Maker. That's way too powerful if we're on a mirror match. And we're going to play our Warleader's Call here, I guess. Get this on the battlefield. See if we can outrace them. When we play our 4/4 next turn, it will be a 5/5. And yeah, they played their own Ojer, so ours is going to outsize theirs. I've never been sure if this card is called Ojer or Ojer, but Reddit told me it's Ojer, so that's where I'm going with today. And yeah, 2 creatures being created by Rouse Reinforcements is 10 damage in our hand. The Lightning Helix and Play with Fire is going to be at least another 5 damage to our opponent. They do get in there. Well, there's no way I'm blocking. They've clearly got something in their hand. And they just pass the turn. Alright, so we've got lethal. I'm worried about Lightning Helix for them to gain some life back. So let's just respond to them. We'll drop Rouse Reinforcements though. This is going to be 10 damage. This little common here, which I totally forgot existed. There's so many of these type of cards that in these kind of decks suddenly become so good. But yeah, 10 damage to our opponent, and we have 5 damage on the battlefield, so I'm just going to go to attacks, and we'll respond to whatever they do. We have 5 damage with either the Helix or Play with Fire. And opponent did have Helix, so we'll Helix them for the 5 damage. And we will kill them on the stack, basically. Alright, on the draw here, Mondrak makes an appearance. Mondrak, a little bit of a win more card, I think, but it's good at squeezing removal out of our opponent's hands. And it could be just enough later in the game to try and squeeze enough damage through, especially against life gain decks, etc. Or decks where we can't always attack, because this deck doesn't need to attack to win. They played a couple of Goblin Tomb Raiders, so looks like they're on Pirates. There's Captain Storm. No artifact though, so we're still on 18 life. Another Tomb Raider, okay. And we take a damage from the Skrelv's Hive. Alright, it's a big turn for us. We needed to play the Warleader's Call, but they could kill us. I'm sure they can do 17 damage if they have the right cards. But they don't. And can we finally turn the screw a little bit here? Another 4/4. Well, we'll drop this one. 5 damage to our opponent. They go down to 11. I guess these mites can't block, so we might as well attack. We'll pot them down to 9. So we just got to make sure that we don't take 10 damage here. No idea what they've got. Just going to block one of the 2/2s. And we go down to 6. Yeah, so Skrelv's Hive would kill us in our upkeep if we're not careful. Voltage Surge to take care of one of our mites. Skrelv's Hive, 5 damage to our opponent. And Mondrak here is another 5 damage to our opponent. But they scoop it up before we get a chance to do that. Alright then, on the draw, and this hand is pretty nice. Opponent with a Plains and a Lunar Veteran. So I'm not too concerned about sort of incremental life gain for our opponent. Another Veteran, okay. I'm more concerned about maybe a Voice of the Blessed next turn for them. Getting out of hand. As we will struggle to block it, especially if it becomes a flyer. So our options here are to hold open the Lightning Helix or play this Skrelv's Hive now. Get it going, but I think we just need to be a little bit careful, and we'll hold up the Helix. I think this is better. Okay, Resplendent Angel, fair enough. I think it is better that we held open the Helix. We're going to be able to deal with this flyer now before it takes over, and we can take some damage from these veterans because the Helix is going to heal us, and we're back up to 20. Play with fire, okay. So I really want to get the Warleader's cooldown into Ojer, but we just don't have that 4th mana, so we'll get the Skrelv's Hive going now. Opponent is, looks like they're on mono white. We'll kill one of these Lunar Veterans and see what they play. See if they play it again. They do. Now we've got Skrelv's Hive going. We just got to make sure that we can maximize this onto the battlefield. So let's go for the Warleader's Call now. Makes it a 2/2 so it can attack next turn. Also, Skrelv's Hive can start doing damage in the upkeep. And if they have a removal, maybe they'll want to use it on our 2/2 and not our 4/4 we're going to be playing this coming turn. Another land is good for us. So I guess we'll just go to attacks first. Hide what we're going to be doing. Opponent takes it, and we'll just do 5 damage to our opponent here. And yeah, we've got the Resolute Reinforcements, which is 10 damage in our hand. Skrelv's Hive is going to be another 5 damage in the upkeep. Plus we can always attack with our creatures. So pretty much any card in our deck that isn't a land is going to be lethal with Ojer on the battlefield. Opponent with a Steel Seraph here to presumably give some kind of lifelink to this Luminous Phantom. So they go up to 18. Can we win here? Okay, land doesn't make it look like we can. We can do 10 damage to our opponent with the reinforcements, but their Steel Seraph is going to gain them life next turn if we're not careful. So let's attack with these 2/2/2s, see what they do. They may be scared to block, actually. Yep, they do. And they should have blocked because Resolute Reinforcements in our second main here is going to be 10 damage. And yeah, they absolutely should have blocked our 2/2s. Alright, on the draw here. And we have a Gleeful Demolition. It's a card I'm in an R whether to put in the deck, but I thought it's a kind of cute little combo with Anim, Pakal and Skrelv's Hive. So I'm giving it a go. But yeah, there's just so many options you can put in this deck. Adeline's a pretty nice option, I think. And cards like Urabrask's Forge, but I've played with that card so many times. I didn't want to put it in this deck today, but yeah, that's another one that would be doing a lot of damage every time it ETBs. Plus you get to attack with it. Opponent though, with a mono black deck it looks like, and my least favourite card, the Deep Cavern Bat. Mainly because they can basically play around our whole hand here. So, not looking brilliant for us. We haven't got an engine going. And they're mono black, so presumably they've got some removal for our Mondrak or Ojer. Okay. Mountain, not brilliant. Let's drop this onto the battlefield and we will might as well attack and say go. If they have removal, they have removal. It's just the way it is. But yeah, we never got our enchantment onto the battlefield. Haven't found our Helix. Opponent has it go for the throw. Okay. At least this gives us a land for next turn. And what else have they got? Okay, more removal, Virtue of Persistence. And we just find a mountain, so not looking great here. I think we'll drop Mondrak. I guess if we can find a way to make a artifact token, then Gleeful Demolition will make a whole load. But no, opponent has Liliana in their hand. So we lose our creature. And we go down to 7 and we just draw another land. So not great here, but we're not dead. They can, if they attack with their bat, we can Iganjo it. We'll discard our Demolition though. And we can kill this bat to get our Anim Pakal back. So at least we've got some presence on the battlefield next turn. Okay. Alright, so here we go. Can they kill us? Presumably they can. We're going to lose one of our creatures here from Liliana. But opponent has Gix's command, okay. So that is probably going to be enough for us here. We're going to go down to 1. And we just draw a Sundown Pass. Alright, fair enough. We never really got our engine going in that game, and the opponent had a lot of removal for our 4-cost creatures, and couldn't keep up with that. Okay, on the draw. Very keepable hand here. Play with Fire is a great card to have in case they want to play a creature now. Are we up against mono black again? Another underdog. Fair enough. Well, this time we have an answer, as opposed to last game where we couldn't really deal with their 3-2 for a while. This one looks much better. Is this the same opponent as before? Okay, it is a swamp. So I'm not going to go too crazy here. We play our tap land. We're just going to respond to what they want to do. Because we don't need to attack necessarily to win, we're going to try and set ourselves up for a big combo win in one turn. Opponent with Liliana. But we can deal with that. Make us discard a card. Going to discard the Helix. It's our more expensive burn spell, and I want to drop the reinforcements this turn. Next turn, play Warleader's Call and land. Attack down Liliana, kill that, and then have play with fire open if the opponent puts down anything crazy on the battlefield. So yeah, liking where we are right now. This is much better against this mono black deck. Opponent is in the tank though. See what they've got. 4 mana now. Let's go for the throat on our Resolute Reinforcements. Fair enough. And they're going to kill this one too. They're hovering it. Another go for the throat. Okay. So another opponent who's playing a lot of removal. But this time we've been able to deal with that because our creatures were tokens. And we'll drop Ojer here. 5 damage to our opponent. Play with Fire is going to be another 5 damage to our opponent's face. And that is a Bloodletter of Aklazot's. We can attack into that with our Restless Bivouac if we need to. They would have to block. Resolute Reinforcements, though, is death, isn't it? It's to 10 damage. So didn't need to attack that turn at the end there, and that just shows how to win that way.